Alright, so just real quick, I want to go over review because as you start to do the sleeve, you're going to have to create a section for the sleeve as well. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to section, and I am going to click on the red box.
Wait, so is it the same drawing?
This is the cup drawing. So when you click on the red box, you're pointing to the center. Okay, I'm not clicking right here. I'm just pointing, and I haven't clicked on anything yet. You are not going to click until you pull this little green dot out past your part. You don't want to click it on the quadrant of that circle. You want to go out past the part. Click once right here, and then drag it all the way through. Go to the bottom, and then click again. So I'm now hitting my left mouse button. Once I do that, I still have a line attached, so I'm going to right click my mouse and hit continue, and that's going to pull this section over to the side. So as soon as I do that, now I have section A-A. So you're going to draw this also in AutoCAD. So you'll see how quickly it is to get this in Inventor, but you also have to know how to do this in AutoCAD as well. The second thing that you need to do, because you know we don't have center lines, Inventor doesn't do our center lines for us, we're going to use the center line bisector, and I'm going to pick the outside of the cups to get my center line here in the middle, and then I'm going to do my center line mark. I'm going to pick the outside here. The problem here is it generates a vertical center line while I also have a cutting plane line. I don't want both of those lines on there, so I'm going to pick on the little green dot after I select the center line, and then just drag that dot down. So I'm just picking on it, bringing it to the inside, and now I won't have those lines overlapping, and that's my cutting plane line. So the two A's and the arrows indicate the direction of sight. When you look into this part and when you cut it in half, this is what you're looking at. The section lines indicate material. So those that is like an ANSI 31 hatch pattern, and you're going to have to hatch this when you get over to AutoCAD. Alright? So if you do this in Inventor, you can then go over to AutoCAD and you can fix your drawing and make it look like that. Okay? So when you go into AutoCAD, notice if you drew this like you normally do, these would all be hidden lines, and something looks really wrong. There we go. If you did this and you have hidden lines right there, you need to change those hidden lines to object lines, because we're cutting this part in half, so we have to have a visible line there as an edge. Alright, so this is going to be the first thing. I think everybody in here can get this far, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Line in the middle of the circle?
That's a center line. Because we're getting ready to do a cutting plane line. So that's what I'm getting ready to do right now. So I'm going to switch my layer to cutting plane line. My cutting plane line, if you have the show hide line thicknesses on, okay, so like I don't have it right here, but you'll see that this cutting plane line is a thick line. If you have the show hide line thicknesses off, you don't notice it, but it will print out a really dark line. So I'm going to point to the quadrant of my circle, and I'm just going to project up about 1/2 inch past that quadrant of the circle, and then I'm going to come down, and I'm going to go down about 1/2 inch past. Okay, so that gives me the cutting plane line, which is indicating this section right here. The next thing I want to do is switch to a different layer with section lines, and I want to hatch this right here. So I'm going to go over to hatch, and I'm going to point inside of the two areas that I have material. So where there's material, there are section lines. Where there's empty space, we just leave it blank, and that indicates that it's space there. Alright, so it's using the hatch command. When you did the your logos, you use the solid fill, and now this is the ANSI 31 that's just default, and that's all you have to do is just leave it as default. You don't even have to look for anything. You just come in here, you pick in a boundary that you want to hatch, you just point to it and click, and it's going to identify that boundary. Alright, so that's the hatching and the lines. So we have one other thing that takes a few more steps to complete, and I'm going to go over this with you when we release your screen. I'll I'll kind of send it to you. All right, and we'll kind of walk through it. But I'm going to just show you right now what we're going to do. And this is still with the cutting plane line. So I'm going to go back to my cutting plane layer. We're going to go over into our annotate because we want to create a new multi-leader. Our multi-leader right now, the default multi-leader, when we use multi-leader and we point to our multi-leader, I should have done that at angle. Oh well. When we do a multi-leader, it's usually like at an angle and you have text associated with it, okay? We need to draw a line that just has an arrowhead on the end of it with a straight line right here that doesn't have this thing called a landing and doesn't have text with it. So in order to do that, we're going to click on this little down arrow. That is our multi-leader style manager, and it allows us to make a new leader style. And you can see I've done this several times on this drawing just because it's a sample drawing. But basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting with your standard multi-leader, and we're going to click on new, and we're going to give it a new name. So I'm just going to make mine cutting plane, and this is the third time I've done this. I'm just going to call it cutting plane 3. You can just do cutting plane on yours. After we do that, we have two things we have to change. It's very easy. The content, this M text right here, means that has text on it. I don't want any text, so that goes away. And then I go to leader structure, and this little button right here where it says automatically include landing, I don't want that landing. Okay, the landing is this line right here, so watch, that's going to go away, and then that's it. So if you make your new cutting plane type and hit set current, when you go to do the multi-leader, when you go to draw this, I'm just going to line it up with that endpoint. I'm going to come over here, and I always have to start over here to the side and then drag it back. Huh?
Just keep messing with me.
So I just do that right there. So that's probably the hardest thing of all of this, because so many people go multi-leader and point like this and then come out, and then it's, Miss Hanson, my arrow's backwards. What do I do? Well, I just tell you to erase it and redraw it. So when you do the multi-leader, I just use the endpoint just to kind of like line up. And the length of the line, I try to go like visually somewhere like in between the middle of this. So like I don't want my leader line to start way over here outside my part and then come back. That's a little too long. Okay, so that thing's it's too long. So if you start somewhere in the middle, so just somewhere over in here, and then pull that back. There we go. So that's the multi-leader. After that, it's another layer change. We change a lot of layers in this. We have to go to dimensions, and we need to draw a text box window, and we have to draw just a capital A. And I should have changed the dimension first. Hold on, let me back up. I'm going to change that to 0.125 first and hit enter. And then capital A. So close that. Move that A over to like the corner. I'm going to copy this because I don't want to have to do it again. So I copy, I'm going to put that down here, and while I'm doing this, I hope your screens are keeping up with me. Bring that down here, and then I'm just going to copy that A one more time. Well, I'll just do a new text box. So over here underneath your part, you want to have that labeled as section A-A. So I'm going to change my 1/8 of an inch text again, and I'm just going to, in capital letters, type in section A-A. So we put that dash in there to represent the fact that it's going from this A to this A. There are some drawings that or some sections that we're going to do that's just going to be section A because it only has one cut. All right. So at the end, this is what your drawing will look like. All right. Take a look at that. Looks very much like that. We did not put scale under here, but the two drawings are very, very similar if you put those side by side. So I'm going to go ahead and release your screens now. So